Hello and welcome to the two-man power trip of wrestling. I'm your host, JP John Paz. With me today is a very special guest, a two-time Impact Wrestling Women's Champion, correct me if I'm pronouncing this correctly, but a AAA Reina de Reinas champion. She's, of course, the virtuosa herself, Deonna Purrazzo. Deonna, welcome to the two-man power
Thank
trip. How
you
you
so
doing?
much. Thanks for having me.
No problem. So what's going on in your world? What have you been up to?
Not much. It's December, so the holidays are coming up and my schedule winds down. I'm a crazy Christmas lady, so Steve and I have just been getting the house ready and wrapping presents and enjoying our time off.
Nice. Steve and you and obviously myself, all New Jersey natives, which is nice.
Yeah.
Very weird. Steve's like best friend, Mark, his sister, I went to college with her, so I was friends with her forever. I was like, "Whoa!" It's like that's weird. What a small world. That's pretty
Oh,
crazy.
wow. I
Yeah,
feel like when you're from Jersey, you kind of know, and there's like no matter where in the state you're from, you're gonna know somebody who knows somebody else, and like it's weird world within its weird world.
I was just saying that to somebody before. They're like, "Yeah, if you're from Jersey, it's not a small place by any means, but for some reason, it's such a small world. Like, oh, I know them. They're from New Jersey. Yeah, it's weird."
Yeah, and there's so many of us in wrestling that like literally we grew up like 20 minutes from each other and things like that, and wrestling like brought us together. So Jersey's strong. I love being from Jersey.
Yeah, that's right. I know you said you don't miss the weather, though. I know that.
No, not at all. I'm a Floridian for the rest of my life.
Is it weird though having Christmas in Florida? There's no snow. It doesn't really get too cold. Isn't it weird?
So this Christmas is actually going to be my first Florida Christmas. I've been down here for 3 years now, and I've always went home and saw my parents are in Jersey. I have a nephew who lives up there with his mom, so I always made the trip. But last year, Steve and I drove. Because his parents are also in Jersey. My dad is right over the border of Jersey and New York. And it was just too much. 16 hours up in the car with our dogs who don't necessarily love to be in the car.
Mm.
And then where his parents are is like 2 hours from my mom, which is an hour from my dad. So we spent more time traveling than we did with our families. So we just said, F it. This year it's a Florida Christmas. We're in our house. That we just bought, so we want to enjoy it, and then so I'm excited to see what a no snow or cold weather Christmas is like because I don't know.
Yeah, that is. I know it's got to be different for sure because usually New Jersey, there's always snowing or it's always freezing. I mean, it feels like Christmas if it's hot or not
Yeah.
that cold. It doesn't really feel like Christmas.
Luckily, Florida does go through like its own little winter. So it's not like it's 100 degrees outside during Christmas. We'll probably get in like the low 50s, which when you're used to it being 80 every day, 50 becomes cold. So
Yeah.
my blood is thin now. But it does get a little chilly. So it's not completely gone.
So as you're down in Florida, like what's the wrestling like? The wrestling scene. I know you obviously you're doing Impact, but is there a lot of tapings, a lot of stuff going on? What's the scene like down there?
Yeah, I so to be honest, I don't know too much about Florida independent wrestling because I never did it. I never was like flown to a Florida show or anything like that when I was in Jersey. And I there's not too many local places that I know of down here. So everyone I know kind of gets flown elsewhere. Unless, of course, you work in NXT. And then when I was there, we had house shows all over the state. So I don't really know too much about Florida, but yeah, Impact is back to traveling again. We were in Vegas in October, and then we just wrapped up our tapings in Vegas in November. And then we have like a little throwback special show coming up in Louisville, Kentucky. So we're not done yet, but we're back to traveling, and it feels great just to get out of Nashville with no fans and kind of explore again.
Yeah, that's got to be refreshing a little bit to get out there and start doing the touring again. Because I mean, that is weird doing tapings in front of nobody.
Yeah. When we finally had fans back for Slammiversary, I was like, it's time. Like I'm over the no fan thing. And it was good because we still got to wrestle during the pandemic. But yeah, it gets really old quickly. And I think that fans appreciate being able to come to shows now. We appreciate it 10 times more. So it kind of gave us that reset button that I think maybe we all needed.
it's funny, like you know wrestling, everyone thinks like, oh, wrestling is just TV, but the crowd plays such a role. It's crazy. It's like watching without the crowd, watching with the crowd, complete 180. It's just horrible to
Yeah,
experience.
and like from a wrestling standpoint, like wrestling in front of a crowd versus no crowd, there's certain things you can't do when there's no crowd because it's silly to lay there for we're both down and there's a 10 count, but the fans aren't chanting 10 with you, or like
Yep.
spots where you go back and forth and there's no boo yay. It just kind of makes it that much harder because in your head you're like, ooh, this should be happening and it should get this reaction, and then you go out there and there's no reaction. So yeah, I mean, just to be able to interact on that kind of level has made all the difference, I think, in my world personally, but I think in the world of wrestling itself.
If you think about it, it's like, okay, there's no crowd, or that's weird. Like, who's getting over? Who's not getting over? It's impossible to tell. I mean, you just don't know.
Yeah, and I think too, like you also for that first chunk of time when there were fans back, like everyone was over because for the longest time, in
Yep.
that aspect, no one was over, and the fans were just happy to see wrestling live again and to be able to come back and it had been so long, so it kind of was like a weird where they were just like happy to see everyone. So there was no bad guy or good guy at first. It was just like, yay, there's people.
It's one of those things where it's like, wow, I hope that never happens again because, it can be boring as a fan to watch and there's no reaction. Or if they're piping in sound, if they're piping in like the fake noise, it's like, or like the Thunderdome thing, it's like, I don't know about this.
Well, yeah, and when people started to pipe in crowd reactions, like Impact wasn't doing that at first, so then it was
Right.
kind of like, oh, but it's kind of better because at least it gives you something. But then yeah, it's just all like processed and fake, and you don't really know who's going to get a reaction. So it was interesting to come back and see, especially because at Impact I had been the champion all throughout the pandemic, so there was no telling if how fans were going to take me as the Knockouts champion because they hadn't seen me in that role yet.
Right.
So it was exciting to get that welcome, but then also then realize like, ooh, we're not supposed to like or boo her, and how that reaction kind of transcended over time.
What did you feel like being champion for that period of time? I mean, you're kind of carrying the company. I know there's no fans, but it's responsibility and pressure. It's like, okay, I've got to perform, even though there's no crowd. I mean, there's an audience that's watching.
Yeah, it was difficult because again, you're not getting instant feedback. You know what I mean? You can go out there
Yep.
and do a promo in the ring. And we kind of don't know how it's going to go until it's on social media. So I think that Impact did a really great job of upping our like social standpoint and doing more things for digital, that just strictly go on Twitter or on YouTube or on our Facebook or on our Instagram. They experimented with like Wrestle House, so that was kind of cool because it gave everyone an opportunity again to reset and kind of introduce who they wanted to be. And for me, it was just a weird place anyway because I had just been released from WWE NXT. And I didn't know if this like virtuosa character was going to work, so we really tried to like tap into that social aspect to get people to understand what I was trying to get across, and hope and pray that it worked that way. And luckily it did. But yeah, again, I was just so ready to have the fans back and to feel that energy, because I was over it. I was so over it.
So, how would you describe the virtuosa? How would you explain it to the fans?
So interestingly enough, all of the promos that Impact released my first like 2 or 3 weeks was stuff that I had filmed prior and pitched elsewhere. But by definition, the virtuosa is an individual with outstanding technical ability, and a lot of times it relates to like dance or art. So for me, the virtuosa defined my wrestling style, which is very technical. But also I wanted to incorporate the art to it and the drama of it, with my music, for my entrance, and then also with my ring jackets. So I think that the virtuosa is, she's cocky and she knows she's the best, but she's also cultured and sophisticated and loves history. And those are all things that Deonna Purrazzo really loves as a human being. So it wasn't as much of a outlandish character as it's more nuanced, and there's just like pieces of me that I try to exaggerate with my clothing and those kinds of choices.
They always say the best characters are yourself, but you turn it up a notch and another notch, right? And you just keep turning it.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm a history major in college. That's what I'm learning every week now, and it's just something I've always had an interest in. So to be able to go through like different fashion trends and all these different time periods, and I really resonate with the fashion of the Renaissance and things like that. That I've been able to name moves after, and again make jackets of, has really been fun for me, like on a personal level. So to live that through her, who the virtuosa is, really is so close to my heart. And Impact has just been amazing, letting me go out there and try things and see if they work.
I feel like throughout the history of wrestling, like whether it's Gorgeous George or Ric Flair, those guys that invest so much in the gear, it really shines through to the consumer, the fan, because they're always like, "Wow, who is this person?" So like when you're doing that with your gear, I feel like that like you're investing in yourself, but it's also raising your game. It's like, wow, she looks like a main eventer. She looks like a star, right? Is that a part of it?
Absolutely. Pay-per-view gear has become a big thing for me, and like constantly on social media, like I see people react to it of like, "Oh, what's she gonna be wearing for Hard to Kill? What's she gonna wear for Bound for Glory?" And I really think that we can make gear statement pieces. So especially because I'm not a Hulk Hogan type character. I don't talk like this, brother, and do
Mm.
all these crazy, you know, I don't have all these crazy characteristics. The little things that I can do over the top and well, like my hat that I wore at Bound for Glory, or my jacket from Slammiversary 2022, 2020. All those things become super important when you're trying to get little characteristics across. And I think that when I didn't have gear like this, I definitely maybe didn't portray myself as a star. But now when I walk out there in a royal cloak and a giant hat, it's like you can't not help but look at me or wonder where I got that from or what the inspiration was. So yeah, I 100% agree that gear means everything.
Sometimes, like a wrestler, let's just say they're wearing black or something, like, okay, that's wrestler B or whatever. They're going to lose. Wrestler A over here looks colorful. They have gear. Like, it just, even when you're just watching as a fan perspective, it's like they look like somebody. Like, I don't know who they are, but that's somebody. So that's why it's so important to do the gear. Even though you're going to invest more money, it's investing in the right way.
Oh, absolutely. Like I honestly couldn't. I spend thousands and thousands of dollars on gear every year, and it's the most important part of who I am. And I'm going through a bit of a character change, identity shift at Impact. So with the black jeans and the t-shirt, really because my actual gear that I was having made wasn't ready. But when you're going through these shifts and these different emotions, that is such a display of those things without having to utter a word. So especially again for me, who needs those little things for people to understand, maybe really having an identity in terms of like, oh, I wonder what she's gonna wear, and then looking like Virtuosa. You know what I mean? She would be wearing purple because that's the most royal color, or she would be wearing something that's covered head to toe in crystals. Like she has in my mind, a very specific identity in what she would be wearing in every stage of her career.
Right.
That it's really become synonymous with who I am.
Very Macho Man esque. Remember, he spent
Yeah.
thousands upon thousands every little thing. Like Macho King, he's this way, but and on this show, he's going to be wearing this color. Like everything was coordinated. But I mean, as soon as you saw him, you're like, "Whoa, what's he wearing?" Like, "Oh my God, there's Macho Man." You know what I mean? Like that same vibe.
Yeah, that's what I want.
So with Impact, you said obviously they've invested in you too. I mean, how's that relationship going? Because it just seems like a perfect fit for you there.
Yeah, it was the perfect storm. I think up until when I started, so May of 2020, I just needed like a company to really take a chance and go full force with me. I hadn't had that up until that point with a major company. I didn't win the Women of Honor Championship tournament back in Ring of Honor, and then I went to NXT, and we all know how that worked out for me.
Right.
And then so it was kind of like a company really needs to make a chance if I'm going to make this work, and I want to accomplish real goals of mine, and that was always to be a champion. And Impact was just willing to again give me the creative freedom to see the Virtuosa through, and see if it had potential to work, and then also to, I mean, gave me the championship right away, which I honestly, when I found out, I said to Steve, I'm only going to tell you because I swear to God it'll change. Like I'm going to get there and
Yeah.
they're going to be like, just kidding, you're losing. And I was just so blown away that they trusted me that much, and saw that, saw all the potential in me and saw who I could be right off the bat, because I was in a weird space. So I didn't even believe that I could necessarily live up to that. But they have rebuilt me, like wrestling wise, from the ground up, and my confidence as a person from the ground up. So I can't speak enough. I gush over how much I love Impact, because I just think that the environment is everything people who have been through some stuff in wrestling is looking for. Just opportunity to be themselves and be creative, and not be afraid to make mistakes.
I feel like Impact has been like the first ones to really say, okay, we're going to cement the women's division. Even going back years ago with the knockouts and stuff. I don't know if Dutch Mantel can get credit for it or Jeff Jarrett, but like they kind of really said, like, okay, we're going to give Gail Kim and Awesome Kong the ball. Like, it feels like Impact for years though have been kind of the trendsetters as far as we're definitely going to give them a chance, and we're going to give them good footing, and we're going to give them a big push up the card.
Well, 100%. And we kind of, amongst our own locker room, talk about that a lot, that there's just this like underlying legacy of what it means to be a knockout. And that means pushing the envelope for women's wrestling. It means that, to be a knockout was cool before it was cool to be a women's wrestler. It was before it was trendy to elevate women and for there to be a women's evolution. The knockouts had already been doing it, had been getting the highest rated segments on shows, main
Yeah.
events, cage matches, stipulation matches, just storylines and time on TV. So there definitely is a weight that I feel to continue that legacy and to do right by someone like Gail Kim, who I work exclusively with backstage. And it's been fun to make her proud and to see her vision through even further. And then the women I work with all feel that and want to honor that too. So when you're working with all these women who see value in each other, see the diversity and the differences that we all bring, and want to elevate each other, I mean, magic happens. And I think especially over the last 18 months that I've been at Impact, we've brought in a lot of people who have that common vision. And I mean, shoot, we're having a first ever women's Ultimate X match, like something like that maybe we never thought was possible. Impact's making possible. So yeah, it's just like, I'll just gush all night, honestly, but
Yeah, you
it
love
means so
Impact.
much
Yeah.
to me to be a knockout and to carry that legacy.
So what is Gail Kim's role in Impact?
So Gail is talent relations, and she's also like a producer. So she agents and produces the matches with us women specifically. I don't want to say that she doesn't do stuff with the men, because I don't know. But I know that for the longest time, every match that I have, I consult with Gail. But then yeah, she's talent relations, so we go to her with like all our general questions, and yeah, she's just amazing.
Is she officially retired, or is she gonna come back?
She says she's officially retired. I've tried to get her to wrestle, but she says she's happy. She's happy with where she's at, what she's doing, how her body feels. So, I mean, I don't want to say never for her, but I can't get her to wrestle me.
You should do the gimmick like you beat Jazz. You kind of retire Jazz. You should do that
I
gimmick and beat her
tried.
and
I
retire her.
tried.
Yeah.
I called her out. She interrupted a promo of mine back before Slammiversary, and I thought she was coming out to challenge me. And she was like, "Let me just tell you now, I'm retired. I have nothing left to prove." But I think that I have hope. I have hope for one day.
You're still in shape, obviously, so she could do it.
She could, 100%. She's amazing, and she looks amazing.
Yeah, call her out. Say, come on. She kind of set it off for quite a bit for Impact. Really, I mean that Awesome Kong feud that really set the bar pretty high for women's wrestling.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, like that was unheard of for women's wrestling, and they set this trend for the knockouts to be revolutionary and to continue to push that envelope. So she has high visions for all of us, and she knows what she wants from us. And I think that there, again, with this legacy, there's just a respect of like, you created this, and I want to do right by you. I want to make it worth it for you, what you went through and the struggles that you went through to get us to where we are now. So it's really important for me to make her proud and do right by her in everything that I get to do at Impact.
What about Mickey James? Is there going to be a rematch coming for her?
Yes, Mickey and I have a rematch at Hard to Kill, January 8th. And yeah, I mean, I'm clearly looking to get my Knockouts championship back, but yeah, not too thrilled about it.
Yeah, Bound for Glory obviously was a big match, huge.
Yeah.
Didn't come out in the right way. But what did you think about working with Mickey?
It's been so fun to work with Mickey because I feel like I, like you said, had this like I'm beating legends, and I got to retire Jazz. I got to wrestle ODB. All of these knockout legends I've gotten a chance to interact with in some way, and I think that as much as Mickey has been my biggest feud in Impact, there was this underlying story of like, what legend is going to beat the upcomer. You know what I mean? It was kind of like teacher versus student. Someone needs to shut this cocky girl up. And Mickey was the one to do that. So on a personal level, it was cool because Mickey, Jazz, ODB, Gail are all people that I watched growing up and made me want to fight for the same things for women's wrestling that they were fighting for. So to be able to work with them, I got to work with Melina at Empower, is really special on like a personal level, because when you get to wrestle, your heroes, like that's cool when your heroes become your coworkers and there's a mutual respect there. So yeah, it's been fun, but I'm excited to see where we go next and what else we can do to top the feud that we have had up until this point, and then our match at Bound for Glory.
Almost like a legend killer gimmick you got going on.
Yes,
Yeah.
I was referring to myself as the career killer for
Yep.
just a little bit. It didn't catch on too much. But Legend Killer was obviously taken, so I couldn't do that.
Right, right. That might be copyrighted by
Probably
by a guy named Randall in a company with an E. It might be copyrighted. But as far as Mickey, obviously huge legend in the business. Were you surprised to see, like, first of all, her get released, all that controversy with the trash bag or whatever the hell that happened there? But were you surprised to see that almost? Because like this legend, they almost, I don't know, didn't treat her in that status, and then she comes over to NWA and Impact, and now she's back to where she should be regarded as.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a shame that they treated her that way, that they were just so willing to throw people's stuff in bags and say bye, and ship them to them, and it's just unfortunate that someone made that choice. I love that she brought attention to it on social media and that people rallied behind her, and I know that all of those people got phone calls and things from higher ups in WWE apologizing, and people were reprimanded for those choices, as they should have been. But I just think it's unfortunate that they just see people as so disposable, and that you literally throw them out like trash. It's unfortunate because we give our lives and our bodies and we sacrifice so much to make that dream come true. And then I had to fight every day to like prove that I was worth something, or that I was a good person, or that I deserved to be there. So for someone like Mickey, who in Impact broke down barriers, but then broke down barriers way before that in WWE, and her and Trish is some of my favorite stuff growing up watching. So I think it's unfortunate, but I think that everything happens for a reason. And to see how she came into Impact, she was welcomed with open arms back, and the fans have really embraced her specifically, but then all of the people that have been released over the last 2 years. I think that they're going to shine and do way better and be better for what happened to them.
It's funny. Her and Trish was like the first storyline where they were like, with the women, they were giving more time to. You could see a little bit longer matches, the storylines. Oh, Trish and Mickey would be on the show 3 times. They would thread them out. It was like, wow. But then it's like, okay, treat her so good. And then on the way out, I know there was a lot of time in between, but man, they forget, like, she kind of not started it off, but it kind of started a trend of like, hey, we're going to give the women a lot more TV time.
Yeah, I mean, she was definitely a part of it. So, like I said, it's just unfortunate that that's how they treat their talent, and I guess talent that they're gonna get rid, gonna release. So, but again, the grass is always greener, and when one person's trash is another person's treasure, right? So, you didn't like us, but look what we're doing now. And I think that as much as that's been my success story of you didn't see anything in me, but look at all the other really cool things that other people see in me. I very much love when other people get to do that, and Mickey's gotten to do that. Chelsea Green has gotten to do that. The Iconics are doing that right now. And those are just some of the people that I'm close to and off the top of my head, but there's so many more. And unfortunately, more people were released. So Taya Valkyrie is going to do that. Mia Yim is going to do that. Tegan Knox, Nixon is going to do that. So I'm excited to see what they do to make them regret it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, wow, you're going to have a lot of talent to work with coming up. It seems like a lot of good
Yeah,
talent.
I love it. I'm so excited.
It's funny, like, it's like, why did this person get released? What, you know what I mean? You just never know the thought process, especially Ty Valkyrie. It's like, wow, you just signed her. She had 5 matches. Oh, she's on the market again,
Yeah,
and I'm sure she's going to kill it.
it's insane, and it's like, I just feel bad because it puts everyone in this uncomfortable position, and then in terms of wrestling and where else to go, it's kind of like a buyer's market. So hopefully everyone can get jobs and everyone can bounce back, but the reality that full rosters might have opportunities for everyone might not necessarily be there because this has happened so much. And when I was released and there was, I think, 18 of us or however many back in 2020, it was kind of like, well, this should have been happening on the regular. Not that I want people to be fired, but I don't think it necessarily would have been as shocking had they not hoarded talent to begin with.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
So it's kind of like, in years prior, before I was even there, regular firings were regular, and that's kind of, there were seasons to it. After Mania, people got released, and
Yep.
it's just unfortunate that it's been so massive and such a blow to the entire wrestling community. But again, there's places like Impact, there's places like AEW, there's places like MLW, NWA, and the indies are thriving, that people are going to bounce back and going to be even better than they were prior.
When they were doing that and hoarding talent, did you think at that point that they were hoarding talent, or like what was your thought process with that?
Oh, 100%. For me, it was kind of like, you just saw so many people coming into NXT, and I was signed with Keith Lee and Io Shirai, and there was a ton of people in my class, and then there just came a point of like, okay, but people also aren't being called up. So, people are staying in NXT for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. And at no point are new spots opening up for the amount of talent that's ready to come in and fill those positions. So there was someone like me who, and I think people thought I deserved to be the champion or whatever. And I never thought that. I just thought I deserved to be doing something in some capacity and not losing in 2 minutes to every other person every other week.
Right.
But there was just no other spot because of storylines, because people were staying in NXT, because they were hiring new people that they saw an immediate spot for. So yeah, I thought that the whole time I was there, because then people also weren't being released. And then also too, I vocalized that, so that was a problem.
Not good. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that was just with the competition and the way wrestling was going. That was like the compulsion was to just like hire. But then they kind of, in a way, screwed themselves.
Yeah. Now that I guess they're, man, I think they fired almost 100 people in the last year. Nuts.
Jeez,
And
it's
200 office workers.
insane. It's insane, and I just have no idea why. Like, you hired all of them, so you see value in them, and I guess I'm gonna go back to, people are gonna be treated way better elsewhere. They're gonna do more elsewhere. They're gonna feel fulfilled more elsewhere, and I say that from personal experience. That's what I went through. Although I was not happy in NXT, it's still upsetting to be released, and as much as I was like relieved and happy, it's also like, oh crap, what are my options? Because you have a job and you're getting paid one day and then the next you don't. And that's a scary reality. So, all I can say to those people is like to stay positive, and, you have some time to figure out what your next moves are, but know that whatever those steps are, whether it's wrestling or not wrestling, you're going to thrive.
They got to do what you did. Think about the character, think about where you want it to go, and invest in yourself, but really build yourself up and be ready.
Yeah. And there's so many places that people can do that now. So, I'm excited for all those people. I'm excited to see where they go and what they can do, whether it's wrestling or not.
How did you get into NXT? I know you were doing some like enhancement matches and stuff, right? You were working extras, quote unquote. So how did you
Yeah.
get in and get signed?
So I actually started doing extra work in 2014 with
Wow.
Raw and SmackDown. Adam Rose was on the roster, so they always had extras to, you know, party down the ramp with him. And
The
yeah, that was my
Rosebuds.
first. I
Yeah.
went to Monday Night Raw the end of June 2014. It was the first time in Hartford, Connecticut. And then I just did that regularly. I did that regularly for probably a year and a half. I was traveling for Raw or SmackDown to be a Rosebud, and with that, I got an opportunity to go to NXT and potentially have a like a little squash match. So I got to wrestle Naya. I think the first one was against Naya, and you know, just make those connections. Triple H was in the ring telling us what he wanted. Sarah Amato was in the ring, you know, telling us what they wanted for the match. So when you get to kind of work a little bit one-on-one with those people and you're an extra, you know what, I wanted to make her look great. So I left a good impression, and then I was asked back for probably another year or two to continuously be in that role. At the same time, I was also doing a lot of stuff with Ring of Honor, you know, helping push to build a women's division there. And you know, I was lucky enough to go to Japan to be doing a ton of indie work. So it all just kind of mashed together that I was like growing my name and my brand. And then the Mae Young Classic happened, the first one, and I was supposed to be in that. And then last minute they pulled me and said I was going to be an alternate. Um, and I was really pissed. I was really pissed
Yeah. I could
because it was just
see.
like
Yeah.
at this point I had, you know, wrestled Nia twice. I had wrestled Asuka twice. I had, you know, been to Raw and SmackDown, had a ton of tryout matches at SmackDown. I had also had official NXT tryout in February of 2016 that, you know, I killed and was told, like, you killed it, but just not right now. And then I felt like if I was going to be rewarded, I would at least have a first round match and lose. And I couldn't even get that. So I kind of took that as like, don't really need to be doing stuff with them right now because clearly I'm not being valued. And, you know, I had a long conversation with Hunter, and he was like, I don't owe you an apology, but I feel like I do because you can look around, know you fit in and you belong here, but it's demographic and it's logistics, and there's things that are out of our control that we need to do for this show, which I appreciated tremendously. He spoke about me on like ESPN or something, but it all boiled down to like, but what I'm doing is not working. So let me take some time. And the next time they asked me to be an extra, I said no. I signed a contract with Ring of Honor. And then like 4 months later, they were like, no, we want to hire you. And I was like, wait, what? Why now? But it
Because
was,
somebody else
you
wanted
know,
you.
yeah, right before I had just been announced to compete at All In. I was, signed to Ring of Honor. And I had an option to get out of my Ring of Honor contract if I wanted to anyway. So there was potential for me to leave and not be like tampering or anything like that. But yeah, so I mean, I agreed to go, and I cut a Japan trip short. I canceled off All In, and then I started at the PC in July of 2018.
Any regrets there doing that?
100%.
Yeah.
I say 100% because I would have been wrestling, you know, with two or three of my best friends at All In. And I hate that Chelsea and Britt have that moment that I could have been a part of, and those are my two best friends, and I didn't get to do it. I regret that so much, that moment that they share, that I could have shared with them. What came after, we didn't know AEW was going to be a thing. So I definitely think that I would have been in a different position then had I not signed to NXT and did All In, and who knows where I could be right now. But I think on the flip side to that, I don't regret it because I had worked so hard for 4 years to get the yes from NXT for them to say, we want you, that if I had said no, I think I would have questioned whether they would have ever wanted me or what would have happened if I didn't say no, if I didn't say no and I said yes, you know what I mean? So
Yep.
it's kind of like it's a double-edged sword because I regret it knowing how NXT worked out for me, but I don't regret at least giving NXT a try.
And then All In, like you said, you would have had that cool moment with your friends, the
Yeah,
Britt and Chelsea. Yeah.
I know. But you know what? They had the cool moment. I love them both. I love what both of them are doing right now. So it's kind of like I can't harp on what didn't happen. It didn't happen. I can only hope that one day our dream match is a three-way between the three of us, and maybe that can happen one day.
But if that happened, then Impact wouldn't have happened, and you know what I mean. Everything would have changed.
Yeah, I think the whole trajectory of my career would have been different, but to get where I'm at now, it was a struggle, and it was tough, and I went through a lot in the last 2 years, personally and professionally. But to the point that I'm at now, which is healthy and happy, and I'm literally living my best life as a human being, personally and professionally. Now I can't really change anything because I'm at the highest point that I've ever been. So again, I truly believe that everything happens for a reason.
With NXT, was there any like bright spots, anything there where good takeaways from the time there?
Oh, I mean, gosh, I got to debut on Raw as Deonna, not extra local talent.
Yep.
And I had a 12-minute two seg with Asuka on Raw. That was competitive, and I got asked back for a couple weeks. So definitely there. I think when I first was released, I was very like, I need to tell my story, and I'm angry and I'm bitter, and I forgot what the good things were. I was an extra for so long. I had 2-minute squash matches that I got no offense in, and I really got to be me, the virtuosa Deonna Purrazzo on Monday Night Raw. That's really cool. So it's just a constant reminder that there were good takeaways, and I got to meet really great people and make friendships with really great people who are still my friends. So there is takeaways that are positive and changed my life.
So with NXT, like while you're down there, you said there's so many people. How many people like you're in the performance center training and all that other stuff?
Oh gosh, I couldn't tell you now, but there were upwards of 100 some odd people when I was there.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
it's a little much. No, I mean
Yeah,
it's
it's a lot. And it's I didn't do any college sports or professional sports or anything like that, but I would liken that environment to like a football team, that like there's 52 spots on a team, 53 spots on a team. And if you don't make those spots, then you're vying for those spots. And you're just in that environment 24/7, competing 24/7 with people for these opportunities. And it's takes a toll on you, especially where I was coming from, which was, from Ring of Honor, from traveling the world, from, having these killer independent matches all over the country, all over the world. And now I'm sedentary in one place, can barely get the opportunity to wrestle on a live event. I'm not winning anything, which sounds silly, but like it also reflects the position that they see you in. So if you're losing all of the matches, then you're like, well, clearly they're not seeing potential in me to do something on TV. I'm just, a body to lose to someone they want, so it takes its toll on you mentally. And it did it for me, of like, what am I doing here? And, was this worth it? And do I even want to be here? And, and then just some of the stuff that was going on behind the scenes, it was just kind of like, this is all too much. This is all too much for me. And I don't want to be here.
when there's that many people there, though, there's only a certain amount of spots. Like for let's say Raw or SmackDown or NXT. I mean, it just seems like it's 100 people. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a tough environment, and you're with those people every single day. You're training every day in some capacity. So yeah, it's just you're just under pressure and under the spotlight 24 hours a day.
So the interaction with Triple H was good, but was he there often, or is he or is he watching from afar?
He was definitely there often. I mean, we started, NXT started live TV while I was there, so he was definitely around every week, and I did get to have conversations with him and get to talk to him and ask for advice, or ask, what do you need from me, or what am I doing? I feel in a bit of a weird space. So I have no complaints about him. He was always honest and upfront with me, and I feel like we had a great relationship while I was there. It just was that I wanted more. I wanted to be doing more. I wanted to feel a part of more. And that wasn't the role that I was seen in.
When that happens, like, how does that affect like work rate or whatever you want to say? Like, how does that affect you? Does that kill your confidence? Does it make you not want to be there? Like, how does that affect you mentally and then in the ring?
Yeah, I think in the ring is like kind of my safe space, and it's kind of
Hmm.
like I can control everything here. And I'm a bit of a control freak. So in terms of ring work, I just think I became more focused and more aggressive, and like I don't give a fuck. Ooh, I don't know if I can curse.
Of course, yeah, yep.
Yeah, I don't care because in this space I know that I'm good at this. But outside of it, it definitely affected like my confidence in who I am as a person. And I always thought too, like my my accomplishments outside of WWE are strictly based on the accomplishments of my life and the effort that I put in and the things that I gave up to put in. And then to go there and then be like, well, it doesn't matter what you did before here. You start over when you're here. It was like, wait a minute, those are the things I'm most proud of for me and the things that I worked, since I was a 9-year-old girl to be able to wrestle in Corkin Hall or to be given the opportunity to even fly to Japan to wrestle. Like when you strip that away from someone, it's like, holy crap, like these are my real life accomplishments. It's not me fitting a demographic or me fitting a role. It's now saying, oh, well, Deonna Purrazzo as a person doesn't matter, is how I felt. And it really affected me. And then in terms of like, okay, well, now I'm here 6 months and I'm not moving up, or here now I'm 8 months and I'm not moving up, but this person comes in is moving up. Like, I had numerous conversations of like, what more do you need from me? And then eventually I said, I don't really care what you need from me. Like, I'm over this. I don't care anymore because it's clear you've made your mind up about who I am. And I don't agree that I'm that type of person, whether it's personally or what I do in the ring. So I'm gonna fight you on everything. And I fought on everything.
How do they feel about that? They probably not not happy with that.
I mean, I was definitely labeled as a problem. I was definitely labeled as someone who has a loud mouth. But for a long time, I wanted to check every box. I wanted to say, and I think I went in with that mindset of like, if this doesn't work out, I'll be okay because I've already conquered what I would go back to in terms of independent wrestling. So I think that when I went in, it was kind of like, if this works out, great. And if it doesn't, okay. But when I got to that point of like, this isn't working out, I went and I had vignettes made and I pitched all these ideas. And, me and Chelsea pitched being a tag team. Me and Chelsea and Rachel Ellering pitched being kind of like a female undisputed era shield type thing. I pitched a ton of different ideas. They had me lose a couple times on TV. I pitched losing and making that a thing until I snap. You know what I mean? I pitched like, I don't even need to win the match. Let me just keep the armbar and get disqualified, and that can set up a feud with this baby face. And I would do extra promos and film stuff at home. And I really can say at the end of the day, I put every bit of me into that place to make it work, and it didn't, because when I feel taken advantage of, or I feel like I'm not wanted, then I have an opinion about it, and I'm going to stand up for myself, and I'm going to advocate for myself. And I don't necessarily think at the time that was what they wanted out of talent.
So they don't want like collaboration, really? I mean, they if it let's say it's their idea, they'll push it, but if the wrestler's coming up with it, they're not necessarily wanting ideas?
I mean, I don't. I can't speak for what they want now. I just know that everything that I tried to do was not used.
Kind of weird. Like in the most successful period of wrestling, they always had like maybe the writers or the bookers were ever collaborating with the wrestlers. This is how I would act. This is how I would be. If I lost, I would snap. Like, I mean, it kind of makes sense, but I guess that's not the way they do things there.
I mean, I think probably that could be the case for some people. I just think that because I spoke my mind maybe a little too soon and maybe a little too aggressively, that I think that it was just made up, that like this is who she is and we don't want to deal with that. And then I got to the point of like, yeah, that is who I am and I don't want to deal with you. The
Yeah.
Jersey attitude came out, and then of course no one likes
Yes.
me.
Yes. Oh, she's from New Jersey. Oh, geez. Yep. There you go. Yep. That'll hurt you too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Instant heat, New Jersey. But I was talking to somebody recently, and they were a graduate of the Heart Dungeon. So I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome!" Like, you got to promote it. It's like, nope. As soon as I got there, they said, "Nope, you're not." He goes, "No, no, no, but I really am. I'm a graduate of the Heart Dungeon, ex TJ, ex Harry." But it's like, nope, not anymore, not to us. It's like, but that's instant credibility. Like, nope, not to
Right.
us. Like, weird that they do stuff like that and like discount the past when that should be brought up to enhance the character and give credibility for the future.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think that me me and Chelsea were told, like, we just don't know why best friends would be a tag team. Like, being best friends doesn't mean you're a tag team. And I was like,
Why not?
like we like have pictures together. We've traveled the world together. She's legitimately been my best friend for like 7 years. I think that we'd work together. I think that it would. There's a dynamic there because we literally spend every day of our lives together. So I think that for some people they see it, and for what I mean, and then for other people that's not what they see. So, I mean, I don't really know. I thought that was absurd that I couldn't be a tag team with my best friend because we were best friends.
Right. I noticed too, she was pitching something on social media, and then all of a sudden she was released. So it's like, oh, I guess you're not allowed to pitch ideas on social media. Like, hey, me and Mickey James your team. Then her and Mickey James are both gone. It's like, whoa, I guess they don't like that. Damn.
Yeah, well, VXT, our tag team, was very much just a social media movement.
Yeah.
Fans wanted to see it, and we pushed it, and so. But I think that again, going back to the beginning of our conversation, that social media is our biggest asset in times like that. And me and Chelsea, but me specifically, saw social media as a way to be creative and to push things that maybe could work on TV, or to push a character, or you know what I mean, to get things across to a larger audience to see if it works or if it didn't. And then that could give you some confidence. I in NXT also could barely cut a promo because promo classes were in front of your peers, and that freaked me out. And I had never done promo class before. So, coming into my own now, having to do in-ring promos and things like that, I think that maybe what I was doing there was all brand new to me, and I wasn't putting my best foot forward in some situations because I was nervous, or I was shy, or I was uncomfortable, and I wasn't capable of breaking through yet. Where now, being at Impact, I've gotten opportunities to do in-ring promos and constant backstage promos and really tap into who this character is and understand her 360, no matter what she's going through in any situation with anyone. And it's built my confidence back up. So, there's definitely things that, over the last 2 years, I think I've been better at than I was there.
Who was running promo class then?
I have no idea. Now?
No, then when you were there.
Oh, there was all different people. Sometimes other people jumped in, but Ryan Katz.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Smiley. Okay. Yeah. Obviously, years ago, before he passed, but Dusty was like the infamous where everybody had stories which made sense. I mean, he's like the ultimate promo guy.
Yeah.
Made sense, but I could see people like flourishing with him there. But group of your peers, just the setup. Even when they showed on the documentary for the network, they were showing like it's guys just all hanging out, like, hey, Deonna Purrazzo, you're up, and then you just go up and you start cutting a promo, and then they're like, act like the Joker, and then you have to be crazy and stuff. I mean, that seems like a little peer pressure, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and like, I'm not a shy person whatsoever, but even ask me to stand up in a meeting and be like, well, this is how I feel, and my voice cracks, and like, it's just not my ideal scenario. So I've really had to learn how to be comfortable in those situations. And I kind of have like a high pitched voice anyway. So to just get over the fact that like I talk how I talk and my voice is my voice, and it's a little shaky, and it is what it is, but I'm gonna embrace it.
Yeah. I just think that just the idea is like, wow, they're having promo classes. Like, it's just interesting, like the way it's structured WWE wise. Because back in the day, these guys don't have scripts. They're just cutting promos. They're their own characters. A lot different wrestling nowadays, especially WWE. With sometimes I saw recently, not gonna say who, but they were reading off a teleprompter on TV. I was like, that is crazy. You could clearly see they go like this, and then they go. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe that. But that's the way I guess wrestling is now.
Yeah, I mean, what's good is they're giving people chances. You know what I mean? And this new NXT seems to be telling people like, you're either gonna get it or you're not. You're gonna make it work or you're not. And I think that that's different, and I think that it's cool because I think people. And me, I went through this at Impact, like all of a sudden being a champion and being like, oh my gosh, 2 months ago, I didn't even know if I was going to wrestle anymore. When you're put under pressure, you either thrive or you don't. And you either live up to the expectation or you don't. And I think that as performers and as athletes, wrestlers are able to do that and just grow into the role you're in. So I think that it's interesting that they have completely changed from all that we talked about me going through to what they're doing now, which is just putting people on TV and seeing what happens. And it's exciting and it's fresh and it's new. And, it might not have the best reputation on social media, but going through what I went through, really enjoy seeing people have to grow through that pressure and whether it's going to work ultimately or not.
Very true. Now, did you actually think you weren't going to wrestle anymore at one point?
Yeah, I just, again, with everything that I was going through, it was just kind of like, I definitely had these moments of like, is this really what I've wanted? Like, did I really sacrifice all this to be treated like this? Or like, to again, not have my things that I'm most proud of about me count? Or like, just question whether I loved it or not anymore. And I think that it also came with like, I didn't necessarily love the person I was at that point. So it was kind of like, if I don't love me, how can I love anything? And that's why I say like Impact not only restored my confidence in wrestling, but as Deonna, the human being, because I've just been able to become healthier all around and believe in myself and have confidence and then fall back in love with wrestling. Since I was 9, all I ever wanted to do was be a wrestler. And I just, yeah, and NXT went through this thing of like, I don't even think that I love this anymore because is all the bullshit worth it right now? And, it absolutely was. And I think that, to really thrive, maybe we'll all go through moments like that. But yeah, when I was released, I was like, maybe I don't want to wrestle for a long time anymore.
Wow, they almost killed your passion for the business. Lifelong fan and, wrestled for years and they killing your passion for the business.
Yeah, and that's why I think I love Impact that much more because it gave me my love for this back. It gave me my love for me back. And obviously work that I had to do on my own and outside of wrestling, but I've now found, I'm in school again. I have found passions outside of this that really counterbalance the stress of being a wrestler that maybe had I had in NXT, I wouldn't have dug so deep into a hole. You know what I mean?
Yep. So with just in general, like let's say AEW, seems like the forbidden door, whatever Tony likes to call it, it's open. Obviously, NWA and Impact have a good relationship because you said you did Empower against Melina.
Yeah.
Like AEW place you'd want to work if the doors are open.
Yeah, absolutely. I have been one of the main people to constantly push for like, hey, women should be a part of this.
Yeah. What about Britt? Come
Obviously
on. Yeah.
AEW has a tremendous amount of women's talent that I'd love to work with. Like I've said, Britt is obviously one of my best friends. But yeah, I was really disappointed that women didn't get to do too much through the Forbidden Door. But on the same time, at the same time, like I did get to do Empower, which was AEW was a part of that. NWA was a part of that. AAA was a part of that. I got to go to AAA and win the Rana de Ranas championship. I got to wrestle Thunder Rosa at Slammiversary. So it's also kind of like maybe the women's side doesn't get enough credit for the work that we actually did get to do because we didn't necessarily get these dream matches that fans want to do. But I think there's definitely more that could be done in the future. And, I don't know what my future holds moving forward.
It's pretty good though of Impact to be so open. Like, okay, NWA good, AEW's good. Oh, AAA, Conan, Mexico. Like, I mean, that's great too.
Yeah, I've had the best year of my career, being able to go to all these different companies and work with all these different people. And I never wrestled in Mexico prior, so that really checked off a bucket list thing for me. But yeah, I think Impact is kind of like competition is good, and what's good for us is good for business. So to be able to work. And have Kenny as the Impact World Champion and have that crossover gets more eyes on our product. People that maybe weren't necessarily Impact fans are now. And especially the crossover with Kenny and the World Championship, record numbers were set for Impact on our social platforms. So it's really interesting to see what the benefits were, and it's interesting to see how Impact has kind of evolved through all of those things. And at first, it was just like people coming into us, and now they're sending people elsewhere, working a ton with the New Japan. So yeah, it's an exciting time. I think this Forbidden Door is what's made wrestling cool right now.
It seems like yeah, obviously WB is like more guarded, but everybody else seems like wide open. I mean, it's great.
Yeah, and like I said, I think that what's good for one is good for all. And when you just kind of have these open relationships and you can kind of pick and choose and float in and out, it keeps it exciting and fresh. And that's what's been great for Impact is Jonah debuted at our recent Impact Plus Turning Point pay-per-view, and we just kind of have seen him demolish people. Mickey just wrestled Kiera Hogan for the Knockouts Championship on the NWA Hard Times 2 pay-per-view. So you can kind of see a little bit of everyone everywhere. And I think, again, that's what makes it exciting is like, who's going to be here this time? And, what are they going to do? And how's this going to play out next week? It's like reinvigorated the whole business.
Yeah, very, very cool. As we hit the wind down, head towards the finish, I like to call it like the YouTube playlist. Like somebody just goes in, types in Deonna
Okay.
Purrazzo Deonna Purrazzo versus. Give us some of the favorite matches or favorite opponent that somebody should go on YouTube and type in those matches.
Um, okay, me and Jordan Grace from Slammiversary 2020. I actually had a three-way with Jordan and Kiera Hogan. That was the main event of an Impact. That was one of my favorite matches. Um, gosh, I had a I have a no disqualification match with Karen Q at Ring of Honor. That I absolutely love. Um,
Another New Jersey girl, right?
yeah, no, she's from Queens.
No.
I say yes because I'm like it's right there, but no.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, those are my top that I can think of. I have like a Ring of Honor, Women of Honor tournament match against Mayu Iwatani. Um, that is a really great match. Um, yeah. Me and Melina at Empower is probably one of my favorites. I wrestled Sue Young as Susan on Impact not too long ago, and I think that's probably one of my favorite matches ever at Impact.
Who's like a young up and comer? Since you're kind of like the lead dog, who's a young up and comer you could see making waves?
Um, there's a few. Off the top of my head, Kenzie Page. I think she's absolutely phenomenal. She's the sweetest person I've probably ever met. And she does a lot of stuff with NWA right now, but I'd really love to see her get some more opportunities at Impact. Megan Bain trains with my trainer Damien in Jersey. I've wrestled her quite a few times. I think she's phenomenal. I think she brings something new to women's wrestling, and she's just like this powerhouse. But she could also kind of do a little bit of everything. She's got this cool character. So yeah, those are the two I think off the top of my head. I'm probably forgetting other people that in 20 minutes I'm going to be like, oh, I should have said that person.
True, very true. Damian Adams, of course, great New Jersey native as well.
Yes, one of my best
Uh,
friends.
Rip Rogers, obviously, it's kind of second generation, but Rip Rogers' disciple.
Yeah, and so Damien trained with Rip, and then obviously I trained with Damien. So I love that even though I don't train with Damien, necessarily every day, every month, every couple months anymore. He's honestly become one of my best friends. I talked to him on the phone for like 30 minutes yesterday,
Nice.
just to BS about wrestling, and when I need to fly up to Jersey to train or prepare, he's always welcoming me with open arms. And Rip is someone that I don't talk to nearly as much as I used to, but the fact that little 9-year-old Deonna had this plan that she was going to train to be a wrestler at OVW with Rip Rogers. And I was also going to go to the University of Kentucky and be on their co-ed cheerleading team. And I was going to go to college at the University of Kentucky for exercise science. So the fact that that dream that's just impossible for anyone, but that I got to train with Rip at OVW, and he's become such a mentor and friend of mine, is really, really cool for this adult Deonna.
Yeah, that's awesome. Rip, one of the best trainers of all time. No doubt
Yeah.
about it. So what's next for you? What do you got planned next?
Um, we have that Impact throwback show. I don't throwback throwdown. I think it's called in Louisville. Actually, I think it's at the OVW Arena. Funny enough,
Ooh.
coming up next weekend. And we all kind of are gonna have these cool, crazy throwback characters. So I'm really excited for my outfit to come in, and for everyone to see what my character is. And then we're pretty much done for the year. Chelsea and Matt are getting married on New Year's, so we have that coming up. Of course, Christmas is around the corner, so yeah, it's kind of all focused ahead towards Hard to Kill, the beginning of the year.
Very cool. Please give us all the plugs, all your social media, where everybody can find you.
Everyone can find me at Deonna Purrazzo on Twitter and Instagram. I always say the verified ones because that is really me.
Oh my God, I can't believe some people fall for it, but it's guys, gotta have the blue check mark. Come on, they gotta be
I am never
verified.
going to ask you to send me money,
Right.
unless you're buying something on my merch store. That is the only time that you're going to be prompted to give me money. Other than that, I'm never going to ask for your account information, for your bank statements, or anything like that. So if someone does that, that should be a telltale sign it's not me.
Yeah, so somebody's like, please, to a wrestler, send me a gift, or the wrestler, quote unquote, send me a gift card so I know that you're a true fan. Like, and the person would send them a gift card. It's like Roman Reigns 11233 is not Roman Reigns, and they're not verified. Like, oh, come on.
No, and there are some great fans that like bring gift cards or bring treats to, a package of Oreos or cookies or whatever to signings or independent shows and things like that. And even then, I'm like, oh my gosh, you didn't have to do that. Like, literally, that's the sweetest thing. And I appreciate you so much that you thought to do that. I didn't ask. And I would never ever ask. I feel like, oh my God, thank you. I guess
Right, right. Yeah.
I'm not a good gift receiver. I'm a very good gift giver. So the fact that people do that is mind blowing and so sweet to me because I'd never ask.
Very good stuff, though, Deonna. Thank you so much for all the time. Appreciate it. Fellow New Jersey native. Thank you.
Hell yeah. Thank you.